Today is the 21st of February 2025, and we are doing the weekly WAYPN. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to WAYPN. I'm Karl, aka Henry. I hope all of you have been having a fantastic week, and we are officially on our enforced break, so that means that you're not going to see Sunny as much, and we're going to get right to it. Alright, so let's start up by kicking up some music and taking down the stream screen. Alright, let's go for it. So, here we go. Alright, first up, we've got Kit taking my time and moving on much slower than usual on the Conan Berserker, smoothing out the skin and building up the reds. Between the saddle, boots, stirrups, reins, and all the other little bits, keeping things clean is going to be quite challenging. Alright, let's take a look here. So, when I took a look at this compared to last time, the reds are much more developed than they were before, which is good because it contrasts quite a bit to the skin, which is quite red. And I think you're going to need to go paler still with that. At the moment, you've got a lot of shadow color. Skins want less shadows. They want much more. Your mid-tone is essentially your highlight at this point. Your highlight is almost just like a specular flash. And other than that, it's looking good. The blacks come through quite nicely. I think that it's looking good, but yeah, basically we still have some of that matching between the red tones of the skin and the saddle. It's just going to need to be pushed just a little bit. But other than that, I think it's a really good start. I'm looking forward to seeing where all of the things are going to be going because, yes, as you mentioned, Kit, there is quite a bit going on with this model. So, I think we will move on to our next post. Alrighty then. So, before we go on, I'm just going to check out the chat. Alright, so let's take a look. Are people saying anything? Other than Ghost, of course, screaming first. Alright, Tia says, just found out about Mirabelle Sebastian sister. Okay, there is... Alright, she wants to do a proxy of Harken World Claimer and try to do something different. Let's take a look. Alright, so first off, let's take a look at this. Hopefully there won't be anything playing. Great, fantastic. Alright, so as for the conversion, I think that the conversion's been done pretty well. I think that the painting does need quite a bit of cleaning up though. The conversion is quite nice though. I like the conversion with the Demonette Crab Claw. Let's take a look at the rest of it. I also like the banner. The banner looks quite nice. But as it stands, the rest of it does need quite a bit of work. So currently, the eye placement isn't actually too bad, but with that red being so glossy, it looks quite unnatural with the rest of the model. So when I take a look at her, right, so it's, yeah, it just feels a little off. What I would do is I would probably take a look at doing some, you know, rimming of the base, either black rimming, you know, brown, whatever color you want. Dry brushing up some of these wings with probably a mid-gray to keep that black tone. And same thing here, just some layering with the the back of the skirt to keep it that black color. And same with along here, just a nice light dry brush to get that to come out. I understand that you're doing the Chaos version. I think that the Crab Claw has come through well. I think that it looks quite nice. I think that that is essentially the feature of this model. I think that the base, like, I get the whole dead body of the orc thing, and it's okay, but with him holding the chopper in the air, that looks quite... it looks like he's just a model placed down there rather than being a corpse. What I'd probably do is consider chopping off the arm down there and just getting some bits of toothpick, put that in there as bone, and like that way you can have it so that that bit's cut off. I think that that would look better than what is there currently, because it does look like a model that's there on the ground, if you're following. Also, you're going to want to do, maybe get a matte varnish or something similar, anti-sheen, something, because the gloss of the red conflicts quite a lot with the rest of the model. But other than that, I think that, you know, you've done a really good job here. But I think one of the other things, Tia, you should do is state what you're painting and why you're painting it, because if you're painting for tabletop, this is perfectly fine. But as far as I can tell, you're trying to push yourself. You're doing these conversions. You're trying to find some of your space. You're trying for character level. That's my interpretation. But let me know if you're just painting to get things out there, because we're going to have very different interpretations if you're painting to get things out there. All right. So next up, we have John Dave Palcanetto. I am unsure how to say this. Hellbombs be upon thee, Artillery Witch Trench Crusade. So let's take a look at this one. I thought that this was actually really good. Now, usually Sunny would be the one who would do all of the art analysis. I'm not as good. When I say art analysis, what I should say is the drawing analysis, because I'm not as good with it. So I really like the way that she's got the coat here. I think that looks really good. I like the shadowing. I like the way that he's done the stenciling. But we do have somebody on board, if they're willing to talk, who has done comics before. Would they like to critique it all? I will. Yep.
Hello.
Hey. Would you? Yeah.
My thing working? Is it working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, cool. As I said, the hashing's quite nice, and the probably the asymmetry. What am I trying to say today?
Words, probably.
The buttons on the jacket there.
Yep.
Maybe I can kind of see the style they're going for, but maybe if they were a bit more uniform, it would probably make it look a bit more high end than just kind of having them more haphazard.
Yep.
If you can know what I'm talking about, the arrows there on the cloak.
I follow.
But apart from that, everything else looks pretty good. The ruffle around the neck looks nice, and the book underneath, it's got nice shadow on it. Kind of reads well, which is good.
So I think that they're trying to show, like, what do you call that? The flowiness of this cape here. But you're talking much more about the actual arrows themselves, right? Or are you talking about overall?
Like, I can see what they're trying to do, but sometimes when there's like a fine line between like loose and quick, and then also like just looking a bit amateurish when it depends on the line that you take when you're drawing.
Totally.
So even though they're trying to do the flow, it's just you still need to make that kind of, because it is a piece of clothing. It would have uniform fabric.
Okay.
Therefore, it wouldn't deform as much as they've drawn there. But as I said, everything else seems to be fitting in quite well.
Yeah, no, because I'm not an expert on drawing or in any style, so all I can do is you're a comic book artist as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I mostly do writing, but as I said, I do a bit of art as well.
Yeah, cool. Alright, I'm going to move on from this one. Thank you very much for your input, Rumbleroo. Or I should say as your full name, Rumbleroo Comics. Alright, so next up we have Cal Vanoni, aka Imposter Cal. Okay, not quite Imposter Cal. Alright, fungal scatter pieces made from Screwboo with dead animal bits added a bit of Greek shield. Alright, let's take a look. So, these are interesting creations. I'm not as sure about these things at the back as I am about these ones. So I think I like some of it, but other bits I'm not as sold on. So like this bit with the body coming out of it, I understand what you're going for. You're going for those Indonesian flowers that are the the inspiration for the Pokemon of Bloom. I'm not quite sure its actual proper name, but they're essentially meat-eating flowers. They're carnivorous flowers. I shouldn't say carnivorous, but I think you guys get what I mean by when I say by that. Better than all of the rest of them, giving off the idea that they're eating things. With the bones sticking out, it looks a bit comical. Now, if that's what you're going for, you know, I think success. But other than that, I think that these ones aren't as good. But what I do like is the two tones of these sort of walled flower things. I think that looks all right. But let us move on. So,
that was called a corpse flower. I think that's what it's called.
Thank you for that. Alright, so next up we've got Hazik. My ability to say names is completely gone at the moment. Hazik Hisham. No, I'm sure that that's wrong because I've said it right before. So as far as I know, you're going for character level based off what you've got painted here. I think that this looks like a really nice piece. I'm just going to double check your writing. Painted something new. Yeah. Alright, so first off, I think the way that you have done this looks really, really nice. I think maybe you had the camera flash on or something, because currently when I take a look at this, it's like there's some parts that have gone through much more. So I'm gonna start giving my critique now. Alright, first off, yeah, absolutely love the way that you've done the patterns. I do think that they could be blended slightly more, but honestly that's a pretty mild complaint. The horns could be blended a lot more though, because they make everything else look much more sort of comic booky, which I get is a feeling that you're going for. But with some of these other pieces, you've gone for much more realistic sort of looks, and I think that it does clash a tiny bit. So I think when it comes to this dinosaur creature, the horns really, that when I look at the creature itself, looks out of place. I even like the way that the snout's done. I think that looks quite sort of comic booky once again. And just taking a look at the other side, I think that you've even got like this side a bit better, but you've also had more access to this side. Now, when it comes to the red, I think the problem you've got with the red is you're starting off too saturated. So when I take a look at this one down here, which is much more desaturated. That is more the area you sort of want to go. This is the reason why I really love Gal Vorback Red, because I see with some of these red highlights, you're already going into the yellows / oranges, because we can see that change in tone. And here, it doesn't seem as saturated. So what you want to do is you want to save your highest red as your highlight, rather than taking a look at maybe going into like It seems almost a bit pinkish down here, so maybe even going into other colors as your shadow color, like purples, this sort of thing. Now, when I say purples, think like more... Take a look at Galvorback Red. It's a desaturated purple red. That's a great place to start from when it comes to reds. And your capes will look quite a great deal more vibrant if you can try and keep some saturated levels higher. Now, when it comes to the hair, I think the hair looks quite nice. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think you could push a little bit higher with all of that. I like the pants. I like all of that. I like the way that you've done the bow. I especially like the treasure chest because it doesn't steal a lot of focus. Obviously, you haven't done your base yet, but when I take a look at it, everything I see, I'm really happy with it. But yeah, I'd say the horns are the big thing and the cape is the other thing, because the cape's going to draw a lot of focus, especially when compared against the blue dinosaur. Great use of color theory. All of it, really good. I really like it. Alright, next up, we have Chester J and 5 Grimdark style space dwarves. All that's left is the lava bases. Alright, let's go in and take a look. Alright, so first off, I think maybe grab a neutral background. I see what he's saying about the Grimdark. He's trying to sort of highlight up in this green. Now, if you want to go for like a sort of real Grimdark aesthetic, what you might want to do with some of the panels and such, some of the armor pieces, what you may wish to do is something along the lines of scratches, all of this sort of thing, damages, chipping, all of that sort of thing. Alright, they're looking good. Good use of color theory, because when you have the fieriness of the orange-yellow lava against all of these cold colors, that will really help them pop off the base. Taking a look at anything, seeing if there's anything in particular. Red visors are good. Sorry?
I have a question.
Go for it.
How would you go about doing the battle damage on the armor?
The way I would do the battle damage is pretty simple. What I would probably do is, based off this, is instead of doing battle damage, what I'd probably do is chipping. So what I'd do is I'd get a sponge and I'd either attach it to a bit of toothpick or a bit of cotton tipped bud. Q-tips is how they're most commonly referred to, but that's a brand. You just sponge on a little brown on there, on each of these little bits around here. So you're gonna dab it off mostly, like you would with dry brushing, and then so you're only gonna get a little bit, and it'll hit around the tips of area where you're going to get the most chipping. After that, you just dab it on, and what you do is just underneath put some little flecks of a steel color, and that will give the idea of like the paint's being chipped off and damaged and so on, and those little things underneath will help give this false idea of depth, that those parts are the parts where you're getting the reflection and so on. So it's pretty simple process, but yeah, that'd be pretty much it. And you can do the same for the helmets if you like. Alright. If there's cool. no more questions, I'm gonna move on. Alright. Next up, we have Joseph and his boat. Alright. The boat is all done. Did a basic job, don't care about it. It's filling the void while I wait for deliveries. If I'd cared, I would have picked out the trimmings, door frames, different colors of wood. I'd also say dry brush everything and then weathering over the top. Alright, so long story short, he just wants this done. So if you just want it to be done, there's not much I can say beyond, you know, like, well, it's definitely painted. I do think that really, if you were waiting on the other things, I would have at least tried dry brushing up the raised surfaces to give that level of differentiation. But yeah, look, man, it's done. It does its job. So we will move on. Alright, so next up, we've got Lance Davenport. Have to show the good, the bad, and the ugly. This falls somewhere in between. Had a few off days, just need to get these done. So we've got a few people trying to get things done. Well, Lance is usually trying for tabletop, and I think this falls within that. I don't think it's the best work of his, but it's certainly not the worst when I take a look at it. It works. It works. I do think, however, pairing this yellow with the greenish yellow skin is probably not the best bet, because what we're looking at is essentially this sort of greenish yellow blob. We're not looking at something very sort of, yeah. And I'm just gonna check the comments for a moment. This guy could teach us how to do a tiger shark pattern tutorial. Oh my. Okay, alright. Yeah, I've had a lot more experience painting lizards than I had normal human stuff. That's alright, man. Don't worry about it. So that was referring back to the lizard paint job before. So yeah, when I take a look at these guys, the only thing that I think is not great is choosing that yellow for the base. Like, sorry, not for the base. I was looking at the base and my brain just went on automatic mode. I think choosing the yellow for the cloth isn't the greatest, because it makes looking at this not as fun and an experience, because we see essentially just a whole lot of yellow, some white as breakers, and then the naturalistic browns. And of course they match the base somewhat, so we're essentially just seeing yellow and brown, and that's not visually interesting. Like, that's about it, because you see how you got the belts back here, and they actually look more interesting to look at because you got that big breaker. I think if you did that same red with the cloth pieces, I think you would have been a lot better off. I don't think that there's anything wrong with them, but yeah, let us move on. So next up, we have Member Monday, and I'm just gonna read this one out. I will double check messages before I go on. It's Member Monday, hashtag Member Monday. No new members this month. So, I should have said this week, but I might have had other things on my mind. So, I'm just going to have to focus on you who keep the place going. I want to say you guys have been putting out some really interesting things, and I have enjoyed seeing what you guys are doing, from old school creativity like Calvinoni and his Sprue Goo creations to hardcore, intense presentations like you wouldn't believe, like the paint job from Genuine Vision, or even just getting things done like my hobby hero Joseph Mallon. So, all of you guys continue to impress me in different and varied ways. Remember, it's your hobby and we're trying to help you achieve your goals and no one else's. So everybody have a fantastic week, and as always, keep those brushes wet. Alright, so next up we had Larry showing off some historical sites, trying to just go, look, here's some reference points if you want them. And I found this one a bit interesting, but as it's not painting, I'm just going to move on. So next up we have Genuine Vision, who doesn't love us because he's just put a link there, and it's alright, I won't cry much. So, what I mean to say is I'm a very manly man, and I'm not upset at all by the fact that he does not make actual posts on our WAYPN, and I'm not jealous of his painting ability at all. See, like, I can do this part here. I can paint like that with the, see there, all of that. Yeah, I can do that bit. The bit where it's grey, black and white. Yeah, I can do that. Yep, no problems there. The rest of it seems to require talent, something that I don't have, or so people will let me know. All right. So I'm going to move on from this one because there's quite a few things that have gone into it. And essentially, I'm not sure that I'll be able to give the best analysis because currently I'm quite tired. We had our enforced break come early, and that's why Sunny is not here. And so I'm missing out on a lot of sleep. But we're just going to move on. Alright. Next up, we have Joseph Mellon. Alright. So, Joseph said, washed everything even though it's 30 years old and any mold release agent's probably long fallen off or been reclaimed by the universe. Not bad considering only missing 4 weapons so far and my bits box can probably take care of that. Yeah, so just remember that even if they're old second-hand models, some of the times grubby little children will put their hands on things and, you know, they're covered in Cheeto dust some of the times by, let's say, some notorious teenagers and other such things. But yeah, looks good. It does look like it's... Oh no, the gargoyle's still there. He's just in bits everywhere. But yeah, it looks good. I'm looking forward to seeing what's done. And remember, guys, this is part of the process. Part of the process is prepping your models. Also, I've not been loving everything because I have not been here. So I'm going to do a quick return, make sure that everything has been appropriately loved. Not my own post. I'll avoid doing that one. But other than that, we gotta make sure that everybody knows that I'm glad that they're posting stuff. Because I am very happy at seeing people post their stuff. And I have I've made a note of this before. Essentially the reason why I love everybody's posts is because if you put the effort into posting, I want to at least put the effort into saying, hey, I see you and I see the work that you're putting in. Alright, my dragon with swappable model section on the front. There is a magnet underneath the dragon's base, so I can swap the model on foot with a sorcerer to be painted. Alright, let's take a look. So, first off, we've got a gnarly Chaos Warrior champion here. And he's stepping on somebody's head. We got... I don't believe these are freehand. I believe these are just transfers by the looks of them. I think that they could be integrated a bit better, Chris. Like, you could just do some damage like this. Just a black thing, a black line through them, and then just a bit of steel on top or underneath to simulate a scratch, that sort of thing, and help bring these things in. Chipping and that sort of thing, because I can see that you're going for like some really nice intense levels of detail, and I think that that would really help integrate those various symbols, make them not look quite as out of place. So I'm really liking this dragon, even though it's quite monotone. That's okay. The one thing is, I see that there's all of this missing section on this area of the base, but you did say that it was magnetized, so I'm not quite sure where the Chaos Sorcerer would go. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Chaos Sorcerer is going to go right here. So I really like the way that you've done up the purple. I think it looks absolutely great, absolutely fantastic. I think that the horns could use some work, that and the nails as well, especially if you're doing such a monotone look for your dragon. it's okay to have all of the scales, all of this look the same, right? Even have these be similar, right? But I see the level of detail you're putting into everything else. And for me, when I see all of that, I think it's worth putting that extra level of oomph into here. So let me know if your Chaos Sorcerer is going to go right here. If he's going to go right here, perfect. Spot on. Fantastic job with the basing. The basing is absolutely 100% spot on. If he's not going there, have to have words. But other than, yeah, okay. All right, yep, okay. Yep. So I was pretty much correct. So yeah, I think then the basing is absolutely fantastic. Don't touch a thing. Looks amazing. And I know that the Chaos Sorcerer is yet to be done. You said, I'm just double check the post. So I can swap the model with a Sorcerer on foot. Yep. Alright, so yeah, I think absolutely looking great. So this is where I would look to sort of look at the horn, see how you've got the white into the brown, something like that, or either brown into white. It doesn't matter which way you go, but I think put that extra level of effort into the horns. But with that being said, I think that you've done absolutely fantastic, and we're going to move on. All right, so Larry has apparently gone against the what is that called? The Area 51 rules and shown off some sort of spacecraft. But yeah, feeling miserable. So here's a Throwback Thursday, one of my earliest models. Just put some green and grey on the cockpit parts and then sprayed matte black. Good enough for, I forgot how old this was in the before times, the long ago. One of the several concepts for the Aurora. But yeah, it's an interesting looking little vehicle. You know, it's so interesting looking at things from back in the day and seeing how different they are to what we have now. But as this is a Throwback Thursday post, I'm just going to do one more spin of the wheel and then we're going to head off. So, thank you so much for sharing this with us, Larry. I think it looks very interesting. We're going to move on. Alright, so next up, we've got Chester. They're done. Alright, let's take a look here. So, I think it's really worth doing a proper backing shot. Because at the moment, the light has really been affecting these guys. But as I predicted, the orange really helps these guys pop off the bases. And it also helps bring attention to the green because obviously yellow and blue make green. And so when you look at this, you notice the green a lot more. And the blue contrasts well against it as well. But there's not much more to say than this. That's an old school Chaos Champion. I like it. Yeah, it is an old school Chaos Champion, the one we were looking at before. And he is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so it's pretty much exactly what I said from before. I think that this guy's new. I like the way that you've done that sort of lavery thing back there. If you want to push that to the next step, take a look at Duncan Rhodes' Lava Blades tutorial. He's got a really good tutorial on that. Once he's that's not when he's with Games Workshop, that's back when he's with the new thing. Alright, so we're going to move on because I think we've given all of the commentary we can on these guys from before. Alright, next up, Chester is... No, it's John Gass. It looks like everybody is doing the Leagues of Votan. Y'all said Texas in the last review. In my hauler, them's fighting words. I don't understand. Y'all said Texas in the review last week. In my hauler, them's fighting words. Alright, do not understand. Please take this as the goofy joke it's meant to be. I'm just going to nod my head. I do not understand. Oh, was I saying Texas team something instead of Tennessee team? But here's an update on my Tennessee Volunteers inspired land fortress. I just thought they were going to say Land Raider. Really do appreciate the feedback y'all give. Alright, let's take a look here. So, once again, I think that this is sort of in between styles. So currently, I think what you want to do is you want to pick it if you're going to have a really clean look. If you're going to have a really clean look, one of the things... Hello, Penguin. The auditors will be on my end. Fair enough. If you want to have the really clean look, all you really need to do is do all of those lines. So all of the panel lining, all of the edge highlighting, and then it'll look good. Like, you've got some panel lining here already. Just that sort of thing. Just making sure that it all looks quite clean. If not, you know, as I said before with the earlier one. Oh, and I have not been loving the post, so I will go back and I'm going to check that. Make sure that all of them know that they're loved. Otherwise, people will be upset. They'll question what has been going on. Oh. Alright, so if not, just add some chipping. These green guys really do stand out. I understand that there's a clear panel that goes over that. Obviously this is a whip, but yep, it's looking good thus far. Nothing wrong with it, nothing that needs to be said. It just needs to have more work done on it, and it looks good. I've got zero problems with it. I'm just looking forward to seeing some progress on it. Alright, so next up we have Joseph. Joseph says, words, lots of words. Cleanup is done. Tomorrow I will do the goblins and furniture. The plastic varies, so cleanup is limited. I thought I'd be disappointed in the quality of the sculpts, but they're quite good, especially for a 30-year-old board game models. Sorry, especially for 30-year-old board games models. I've glued the gargoyles whip back, but it's looking good. 2 gobos, the elf, the barbarian are missing weapons. Kingdom Death should be able to spare replacements. I'm thinking of painting the bases as a solid black. Can't freehand tiles, add any texture, will be... Okay, so on that, Joseph, I do believe our very own, I'm just gonna tag him. I'm gonna see if it can be done. Can I write on the review? Brushstroke. Alright, would you be able to give our man here your guide on how to do the bases, because I remember them being practical and looking good. Alright, so that's about all of the feedback I really want to give on that, because he's explained, and guys, this is part of the process. Repairing models, doing this sort of thing. It's just part of it. There's just things that need to be done like this. Alright, so next up we have, oh, Jubus. Oh, look at that. That's looking tasty. Alright, Chris Shah says, sharing completed models here ahead of Friday night review. The stream is a highlight of the week. I'm very glad that is a highlight of your week. Couldn't quite finish my second dragon, but here's the whip. That's a whip, Jeebus. Okay, still need to do a bit of dry brushing work on the sculpted base, as well as the shading, highlighting the rest of the base, and finish up some tiny details like brightening up the eyes. Alright, let's take a look. So, here we are with the big boy. Alright, so I think he is looking absolutely fantastic. I love these veins popping out. Oh, that looks just obscene, this creature. It is absolutely fantastic. I love these color shifts. This is a great analogous color scheme. So for those of you who don't know, an analogous color scheme is where you you choose a spectrum of color, right? So he's going from red to blue. Now this is technically called an extended analogous scheme, right? but you'll see that there's very little use of purple, and he's just shifting between those two, and it's got such a great contrast. It looks absolutely fantastic. Taking a look here with those little yellow details, I think if this is the eye, which I believe it is, you said that you want to do some highlights on that. What I probably look at doing is doing a completely different color for the eye, because currently it looks like all of the other boxes, unless you want to do up all of those as eyes. I do also see this more normal looking eye down here. So some of the times it's hard to tell with some of these sculpts, especially when it's like that. Yeah, so I see that eye there. So I don't know if that's meant to just be pox or if that's meant to be an eye. If it's just pox, it's fine. Don't worry, don't touch it. But I think you know what I'm talking about when it comes to some of these things. Because, yeah, even here, that I'd say still looks quite yellow and matches the pox quite a bit. So I'd probably maybe even consider doing like a green or something like that, just so it absolutely pops out. Because that's what you want. You want this thing to pop out, and you put so much work into it thus far already, and I think it's looking absolutely fantastic. The only thing that I'd say, if anything, other than the eye, is maybe do up these blades in a bit of a bone color. And this is what I was talking about. See how you've got a bit of that funk when it comes to the bones coming out? They come that more blackish sort of thing into the brown. I think that's the area you should be going for. That's the look you should be going for. All right, so, oh, we got another shot. Yeah, I'm really loving what you've done with all of that veininess. I think that that looks absolutely fantastic. You're making some absolutely beautiful miniatures, mate. Just fantastic. I really love them. And I really hope that you are enjoying the feedback, because and I hope that it's being received in the spirit it's given, because yeah, it is absolutely fantastic, mate. All right, and so we're finishing up with Calvinoni, but I'm going to do a quick refresh, see where things lie, because Sunny just put up the post for me, and I believe that's everything. Oh, of course, Penguin wanted to be included. I see. It seems that dragons are becoming popular again as painting subjects. I'm not sure if they're becoming popular again. I mean, dragons have always been popular, but when it comes to old school Warhammer, dragons are where it's at. Okay, with the Ordnance session... Don't neglect yourself either. That is good advice. So, we're going to go to our final painting post. Now, this I thought was way better, man. I looked at this and I thought, oh, this looks so fun, the way that you've done this up. I really like it. Like, there's color, there's texture. It's a really fun bit of terrain, especially considering that it's homemade. I think that it looks absolutely freaking fantastic, man. I love these ones. I think these ones have come up so nice. Like, you don't know what this stuff is, but you know that you don't want to step into it. And see, I really like that you're experimenting, because some of them I haven't liked as much. I freely admit that. But I hope that, you know, when I say these things, that it's coming through from not a place of, oh, yuck. It's coming from a place of, this is done well, this could be improved. Because these are absolutely fantastic, absolutely great pieces of terrain, and I think that they're looking absolutely fantastic. So we're going to be heading out soon. When it comes to all of that, guys, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. I want to say that you guys have been absolutely fantastic. We're on our break now, our enforced break, so you're going to be seeing a lot more of me, a lot less of Sunny, and I want to thank you guys so much for putting your stuff up each and every week. It's fantastic having this review and having this community. So, turn that bit down if I can, and I'll say thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye! And of course, keep those brushes wet. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.